Recently, I just received an email about the Christmas closing. You may have heard it before. It's a pretty funny story about a closing that occurs on Christmas Eve, and I thought I'd share it with you. It goes a little something like this. 'Twas an hour before closing, and the agents were tense. To close Christmas Eve just didn't make sense. But the seller was booked on the 6 o'clock flight and had warned that there will be a closing tonight. The agents agreed because business was dead, and visions of commission checks danced in their heads. The loan was approved by the lender's good grace. Everyone knew 'twas a borderline case. The buyers divorced, remarried again, divorced once more, and now are just friends. The loan package complete to the closer was carried, with instructions to close before they remarried. The title policy arrived via UPS from page 1 through 16, a terrible mess. An improper legal, 3 judgments, a lien. But a few lines on page 7 looked pretty clean. The title was cleared and the closing was set, but to finish today was not a sure bet. The closer dashed in waving the HUD. It was covered with whiteout, coffee, and crud. But down in the corner you barely could see that the buyer still owed $1.33. So the closer extracted a bill from her compact and the agents agreed to the rest on the contract. To add some interest, the seller revealed, to everyone's horror, the well wasn't sealed. And oh yes, he wanted to change the disclosure. His mother had just died of radon exposure. Everything else in his house was okay. His cracked floors and walls were always that way. About that time, the buyer chimed in, "We'd like to continue, but before we begin, I noticed these papers. I'm likely to blame. But I gave my agents the wrong legal name. And one more thing I had hoped to avoid. Does it really matter if I'm self-employed?" About this time, the closer exploded. She pulled out a gun and said it was loaded. Everyone froze and sat there amazed. She frothed at the mouth and her eyes were both glazed. More rapid than eagles, her curses they came. She bristled and spouted and called them bad names. "The closing is off. Do I make myself clear? Merry Christmas to all. Now get out of here." It's a pretty funny little story about a Christmas Eve closing. I've done 1 or 2 myself this year with it being on a Saturday. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. Have a Merry Christmas. I'll see you next year. Bye-bye.